Hello again, friends. My name is Bill, and you're watching Bill's Box of Sound, as usual. And today, we are going to do a review of this release here. Look at this. This is a cassette that I have of Frank Zappa's 200 Motels. What was really weird about this is that one half of the cassette was white. The other one was black. See, no discrimination here. Man, look at how tiny that print is on there. We can't even get it to focus. Wow. But, yep, I've had this like forever. And I've also had this forever. My original copy of 200 Motels on vinyl. Big gatefold, and there is a booklet inside, and there used to be a poster, but I had it on the wall, and eventually it got worn out or whatever, so I don't have that poster anymore. But newly released is a deluxe boxed set, release number 120, 200 Motels. The 6 CD boxed set, the 50th anniversary issue of the soundtrack to Frank Zappa's crazy rock fantasy movie 200 Motels, about how touring with a rock and roll band can make you crazy. Now, they have also re-released this album on vinyl again. And let me just open this up for you and show you that it's available on not only black vinyl, but it is available on a lovely red vinyl. Let me show you right here. There we go. Isn't that gorgeous? And for those of you who are asking about the sound quality, the tapes that they had to use to recreate the soundtrack album, for some unknown reason, the master tapes owned by MGM, who owned this because Frank signed a movie deal with United Artists, who is now owned by MGM, and when that happens, your rates go out the window because they own the movie, they made the movie, blah, blah, blah. So the last time that the original tapes were used to make a soundtrack release was when Rykodisc did it back in the 90s, I believe. Let's take a quick look here. And man, if you you think the writing's small on that cassette, take a look on here. It's even smaller. Oh man, I'm turning into an old man. Let me take a look at this here. 1997. It was made into a CD, a 2 CD set by Rykodisc. Frank Zappa's 200 Motels. Okay. And it was mastered by this Dr. Toby Mountain, who Rykodisc had hired to master their compact discs. And while he wasn't really a bad mastering engineer, he certainly wasn't one of the greatest. The tapes that were the result of the recording and mixing and mastering for 200 Motels are not the best sounding tapes. They're some of the worst sounding tapes in Zappa's official recording legacy. And this CD issue on Rykodisc is only bearable if you've got tone controls on your stereo system and you use them liberally. That's the only way that I can stomach listening to this thing anymore, especially after getting this getting this new remastered version. Okay, now the mastering is a little different on the vinyl, as is the CD. If you just want all the music and you're not a vinyl aficionado, the 6 CD set or the 2 CD set is a way to go, because the 2 CD set that is currently out on Zappa Records is mastered by Bernie Grundman and has the same music that this does right here. But you get a lot more. Oops, wrong thing to grab. Where's my box set? There's a lot more in this 6 CD box. The original soundtrack is a little bit less compressed. You can actually hear the bass, you can hear the cymbals properly, a bit more of a balance. When there's large thrusts of energy and loudness in the mix, you don't have the same distortion that was on the original album. So that is the first CD and a half. Let me show you this. If you haven't seen one of my other video that I showed this, inside of the box set is this little bound thing, very glossy. You open it up and there's the first 3 CDs, as well as a comprehensive documentation and booklet. Now, it's got a recreation of the booklet from the original album, as well as extra liner notes by Joe Travers, the Vaultmeister himself, and a complete comprehensive track list right here. Extra graphics from Cal Schenkel's original designs that were done for the movie. Some questions and answers from an interview with Frank. A recreated liner notes from the Ryko version of the 200 Motels CD release, as well as some notes from Ruth Underwood, and also from Pamela DeBar, Miss Pamela herself. All this stuff very nicely put together. And after all that's done, you get even more sheet music, and the fourth, fifth, and sixth CD in the set. This thing comes out at about $100 American, or a little bit more. And for a lot of people that are Zappa fans, they find this hard to listen to. When I first bought this album back in the mid-1970s, I was just amazed that an orchestra could make these sounds in this way, and that a rock and roll person could actually get them to do that. It really opened my eyes to avant-garde classical composition, and just the ways that all of these instruments could be manipulated. Now, for those of you who don't like Frank's scatological content, there's a lot of it on here, because a lot of it has to do with the fact that musicians out on the road want to get laid. And you get all sorts of things here. And of course, Flo and Eddie are in on the party, so you know that there's going to be some fun stuff. But after the soundtrack, you get some outtakes and demos on the rock music side. And if you're a fan of the 1971 Fillmore East album, and also the Chunka's Revenge album, there's demo versions of a lot of the songs that ended up on those records as well. And then there's a section called the 200 Motels Dialogue Protection Reels, or is Production Reels? Yeah, Protection Reels. And this is a following of the script, or the way that the movie was going to be put together at one point in time. The movie turned out a bit different than the way that the story is laid out in these. Now, when I first saw all of these lists, because it's got all the scene numbers from 1 to 100 with little breaks in between and mixes up. When I first saw all of these, I was scared, because I remember the Uncle Meat reissue, the first version of the reissue on CD, where Frank had, quote unquote, finished the Uncle Meat movie and put it out on VHS cassette and inserted into the soundtrack of Uncle Meat about 45 minutes of dialogue. That it wasn't music, it was dialogue. And then there was this song, Tengo Michi Atenta, that was on there. You know, stuff that was previously unreleased. Now, when you take previously unreleased stuff and put it on a CD release, a lot of times they call that bonus tracks. Well, if around the Zappa fans that bought this Uncle Meat reissue, they came up with a new name for those bonus tracks. Those were penalty tracks. They were very tedious to listen to, even for me, who absolutely loves 200 Motels and listened to this whole thing all the way through and really devoured it up. But these scenes, not only do they have the interesting dialogue that's taken straight from the movie and different oral representations of them, they have a lot of musical cues that were never available before. Not just orchestra, not just rock band, but also the choral work, the acoustic classical guitars. Great stuff there. And then in the bonus swill, part 1, we've got all sorts of goofing around from Frank and the mothers of attempts to make a commercial for the 200 Motels movie. Different versions of some of the songs that did end up in the movie. Then on disc 5, there is more vault alternates and outtakes. Great things that were meant to be in the movie but never ended up on anything, like What's the Name of Your Group? There's a couple of experimental synthesizer tracks. There's different variations and arrangements of some of the orchestral stuff, like, you know, a nun suit painted on some old boxes and things like that. And oh, there's this one track which is it was the last piece of music that you heard in the 200 Motels movie. And it's also the last thing on, I believe it's side 2. Yes, the last thing you hear on side 2 of the 200 Motels soundtrack. There's this little thing called postlude, which is kind of like the opposite of prelude. You know, prelude is the first thing you hear. Postlude is what you hear after everything's done. There's this melody that Frank puts in there, do 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 do, and it just goes on and then it fades out. How I would love to have that entire performance without the fade out. I mean, what I did once is I took that track and took the fade out and tried to digitally crank up the volume and crank it up more and more and more until I just couldn't get any more music out of that, because I wanted to hear all of those notes. That's not on here, but at least they tried to squeeze as much of postlude as they could out of it. what else can I say about this elixir? There's funny stuff on here. There's serious stuff. Just musically challenging shit. And then there's more vault alternates and outtakes on disc 6. And it ends up with movie theater skits, different rehearsals of Lonesome Cowboy Bert, the song that Jimmy Carl Black sings, TV hype, 200 Motels movie ad, and things like that. Script rehearsal trim. If you do genuinely like this album and you want to hear more, it's worth the investment to get this boxed set. As I showed previously, there is a 200 Motels door hanger that is included with the album, and there is a little keychain for a key ring. Also, I'll try to tack onto the end of this a picture of the old 200 Motels key ring that I had from when Rykodisc released their version of it. Now, as far as the album is concerned, since the tapes that were used to reconstruct the soundtrack were made from a safety copy of the soundtrack music that Frank had, that had to be re-edited, reassembled, reconstructed by Joe Travers, the Vaultmeister. The sound is just a tiny bit different. They tried to match the sound on the vinyl to the original, and they did a pretty good job. And Bernie Grundman, just amazing. Amazing ears, amazing engineering skills to make this sound better, to make this sound palatable. And also at the end, near the end of Strictly Gentile, just before they go into the finale, where Howard Kalin gives his little benediction, you know, they're gonna tear down the studio. You hear a few extra seconds of music that are not on the original soundtrack album. That's cool as well. So, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, I have asked several times about an organ sound that's on several Frank Zappa records right around this period. Started on 200 Motels, and I think went through to Overnight Sensation. As a matter of fact, the first time I heard this organ sound was the organ solo by George Duke on the song 50/50. It's an amazing organ solo, but you hear these bells going along with the organ notes. And I never knew what kind of keyboard that really was, and I've asked people for years. Nobody knew. I finally figured it out, though. It is a pipe organ. And there are pipe organs that have stops on them, little buttons that you press to activate different noises on pipe organs that are in the building that it's housed in. And then there are things called percussion stops, where you have orchestral bells. This is orchestral bell percussion stop. You press this thing, and if you play a note, it plays orchestral bells of the same pitch. That's the type of organ that's used in 50/50, and it sounds amazing. It's also on some songs like What Will This Evening Bring Me This Morning, Tell Me You Love Me on Chunga's Revenge. So there is a solved mystery for you in the Zappa universe. So if you've come this far and you're still watching me, you are a brave individual indeed. As I shoot this video, we do have news. that in March of 2022, we're going to be getting the 50th anniversary package and all sorts of other things about this album here. The Mothers, Fillmore East. Yes, there's going to be a 3-record vinyl release of this, which has the original Mothers, Fillmore East album, as well as all of the Fillmore concerts, including the infamous John Lennon and Yoko Ono encore, newly remixed from tapes provided by the Lennon Estate. Very exciting. There's also going to be a 3-record LP set of the last concert at the Rainbow. This is the concert that was performed after the Montreux Jazz Festival Smoke on the Water incident, where all of the Mothers' equipment got ruined. And some crazy guy jumped onto the stage at the end of the show and pushed Frank off of the stage into the orchestra pit, where he got seriously injured, was laid up for most of a year, and the Mothers at that time splintered off and went to do other things. Most of the Mothers went and formed a Flo and Eddie band, and they did a couple of albums on Warner Brothers. And then when Frank was able to record again, even though he was in a wheelchair, he started working on the Grand Wazoo. And
sorry, could you say that again?
I said he started working on the Grand Wazoo. Shut up, you stupid watch. Damn Siri. Anyway, started working on the Grand Wazoo and Waka Jawaka. And oh my, that may be a boxed set for later on this year or maybe next year. I'm ready for it. Wanted to show you real quick. Recently, I found this at a record show. Yes, it is a radio station promo copy of Mothers Live at Fillmore East, a white label promo. Oh man, was I chuffed to find this. It's wonderful. So, and I didn't even mention that there's going to be an 8 CD set released called Mothers 1971, which has just about all the stuff that's on that those 2-3 LP sets that I just showed you, and much more. And to add an even bigger wrinkle into this, there's going to be some stuff on the LPs that are not on the CD boxed set, but still an 8 CD boxed set of the 1971 Mothers. This is so exciting. What a great time it is to be alive and to be a Zappa fan. Geez, I don't know what else to tell you. I've talked for way too long. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video. Click the like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I appreciate all of you subscribers. And had a great time. Hope you did too. Go listen to some Frank Zappa music, because it's good for you. Music is the best, and you should know this already. Catch you later. All right, folks, here's the little postscript that I promised you in the middle of the video. The keychains, yes. This was put out by Rykodisc when they released 200 Motels on CD without the permission of the Zappa Trust. So this is it. 200 Motels, P.O. Box 10513/14. Those numbers are corresponding to the catalog number of the CD that Rykodisc put out. Centerville, USA, 81. I don't know why there's a number 81 in there. Isn't that cute? Put it in any CD player, and you'll get to hear a very poorly mastered recording. And here we've got the trademarks of Rykodisc as well as Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Ryko had some kind of an exclusive deal with MGM Soundtracks, and they released a few soundtracks to some other classic MGM movies. Now, also, when I contributed money to the Kickstarter campaign to fund the Zappa movie and save the Zappa vault, I got this thing here, the little keychain, Zappa Motels 200, says drop in any mailbox, return postage guaranteed. And there is nothing on the other side. So I don't know specifically why that was made and what it was to commemorate, but I'm glad that I have it, and I'm glad that I was able to show it to you. Carry on.